Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial on Introduction to Java. In this tutorial we are going to discuss about a small problem and we're going to solve it. The problem solved will require a understanding of the loop statement, understanding of the conditional statement like the if, else or select statement, and then we need a little bit of calculation as well. So the problem is about a student has got 5 letter grades. We'll have to convert those letter grades to the numeric grades, and at the end of the problem we're going to find the average of the grades, the numeric grades. Okay, so how are we going to approach this problem? So here is the process that I have shown you. So first we have to store the letter grades in an array, and then we'll have to look through the array, and each of the iteration will have to get the letter grade of the student, convert that to the numeric one, add to the total GPA, okay, and then we'll at the end we'll find the total point and we'll divide the number of courses to get the grade point average. Okay, so let's go to the code and see how we can do that. So here is the code, and you can see I have declared an array of car. Okay, why is that? Because in order to declare the array you have to have the elements as same data type, and we know like what the same data types are. Here is a character, so that's why this is a grade. This is the array declaration. So in this one, as you can remember from the earlier tutorial, that we have declared the variable which is an array type, and then we have assigned the array as well. Okay, so there are two phases. So in this case we have what? Declared and at the same time. Okay, at the same time you could have done this like this. Let's say grade 0 equals A. That is fine as well. Okay, so we know that this is fine as well because the way that we access an element of the grade of the array is you first define the array and then you put the index number. So if we would like to put the first element, it's always going to be 0 position. Okay, because we know arrays start with an index equals 0 and ends with an index length -1. Okay, and the second element would be what? Would be grades 1 grades 1 equals B. Okay, it would be the same way we could do for the other index as well, but we have decided to do what? We have decided to do the assignment and declaration at the same time. Okay, so this is our declaration of the array and it holds all the grade elements, and then we have declared another variable, the letter grades. So what it is doing is it's calculating the total grades. Okay, and then we have made a for loop, and what this for loop is doing, is iterating all the elements of the array. So that means we are going first to this element, then to this element, then this element, like that. Okay, and in each of the iteration what we are doing, we are extracting the value of the element. So let's write me the statement here, extracting the value of the element. Okay, so what does it mean? Like in the first index we are getting what? The value of this element, and this element is A. So the first time iteration, the value of grade is A, right? And then we are putting this in the switch statement. And remember, in the switch statement we put what? We try to assess the value, or we try to find the value of or we are trying to figure out what the value should be for the variable. Okay, so we put grade here, and then we have given the different scenarios. So if it is a case, if it is A, then we're doing what? Letter grade. At the first iteration it's 0, and then we have 0 plus 4 because A is 4. So remember that the right side will perform first and then assignment occurs. Okay, so in our first iteration the value of letter grade, what? Letter grade equals 4. Okay, and then we have a break statement. So the break statement will do what? It will not execute any of this. It will come to the next statement over here. If you don't put the break, then there will be a disaster, because it is going to execute what? All of these statements. Okay, so we'll have to be very careful about putting the breaks. Okay, so in the second iteration, the value of I is what? The value of I is 2. Sorry, the value of iteration is 1. Second value I equals 1. Okay, and then we are going to get the value of the character for the index 1. So index 1 is B, right? This one. So now we get the value of grade, which is B. So now this statement is being executed from the switch statement. So now we had the letter grade of what? 4. So because we had the previous value of 4 and we get a new value of 3. Okay, so the new value of letter grade equals 7. Okay, now there is a break statement, so it breaks from the loop. I mean, it breaks from the switch statement and it then comes over here. So we had a iteration, and the new value of I is becomes 2. So when I is become 2 and 2 is still less than the grade's length, so let's write here grade length equals what? 5. Okay, because there are 5 elements. So 2 is still less than 5. This is true. So we are executing this block again, and we are going to get the value of grade when index is what? 2. So with the index of 2, we are getting what? Again, the character A. So that means when it comes here, this block is executing. And then we are going to get what? We had a previous value of letter grade 7, and the new letter grade equals 7 plus 4 equals 11. Okay, and then there is a break statement. Okay, we leave this statement, switch statement, and then I becomes 3. So 3 is still less than 5. So by that way it will execute until it reaches 5. So when it reaches to 5, it becomes false and it comes out of the loop. So here is the loop. If you click on here, see, so when you put your cursor here, it will show you the end of the curly brace. Okay, so here is the loop statement, or end of the loop statement. So this statement will be executed. So what is this statement? This statement is the letter grade. So our total letter grade will be something that will be printed here. And then the next statement will be executed, which is letter grade divided by grades dot length, because this is going to show us the average. Okay, and then let's say, let me run it. And when I'm going to run this, so run, you have to always put the cursor on your class and then right click and then run as Java application. Okay, and you can see that the total grade is 16 and grade point average is 3.2. Now there are a few things you need to remember, that this one is defined as an integer type. Okay, and your length is what? Your length is grade length. This will always come as an integer, okay, because the length cannot be fractional or decimal. So when we divide integer with an integer, it will always come as an integer. Okay, so if it comes as like that, your decimal will not be shown. That means you do not get, you lose the precision. So that's why, in order to not lose the precision, you have to cast it. You have to do what? Explicit cast, and then tell the compiler that, hey, I am dividing integer with an integer, but I want to get a precision, a double value. So that's why I have made this as a double, and then you can see this is coming as 3.2. So let's say if I am deleting this, then what happens? Run as Java application, and you can immediately see that the loss of precision. Okay, few things I'd like to tell you, that you have to do the formatting all the time. Okay, like don't just randomly make it like this or like this, okay, or this. So the reason behind this is you'll be looking at the code later on, and if these are randomly written, then what will happen is that you will not be able to follow it. Okay, so that means, like, let's say I move it here. So all these statements after a curly brace there should be a tab used so that these are properly aligned. So in Eclipse, how can you do it? So you have to just click on the method. So let's say this is my method. I select and right click and see, like, there is a format source, and then go to format, and then it will format for you. So we have to make sure that we format properly. We have to do a few other things, that when you declare a variable, make a good use of the variables, okay, or the naming convention should be there properly. Like whenever I'm using the variable, I'm putting what? I'm starting with a small character. Whenever I'm writing, creating a new class, I'm using a upper class. Okay, don't just put char G. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, it doesn't mean anything. Probably you just understand it, but whenever some other people will be looking at your code, they'll not be able to understand it. So make good use of all these things, okay, the naming conventions and these things. Okay, so that's it for today's discussion. We'll be talking about something in the next tutorial. Thank you.